Hello and welcome to another video. This here is my O-gauge model train layout, and I've done a few videos with it recently, mostly some shorts of the trains running around. However, until now it looked a lot different and much more complete, and that's because I've tore it down because I'm redoing it and starting fresh. And there are two reasons why. One, the last version was just a little too small. It was only 4 by about 4.5 feet. I say that because it was on a base table of 4 by 4 feet, and I added an extension using a 1 by 4, so really less than 4.5. So it wasn't that big, and I wanted a little more room to run trains and some room for more action and accessories. The second reason was the room that this is in is only a 10 by 10 foot room, and I had the table set up peninsula style, and it was out in the middle of the room, and it made walking around very cramped. So I decided to move the table in the corner over here, and there's much more walking space. Right now I've got stuff all over the floor from moving everything, but there's a lot more space to move around and sit down with some friends and run the trains. And I now have a 4 by 6 layout. It is built on 3 folding tables, each 2 by 4 feet. And I could have built a regular, plywood table, but I already had 2 of those tables from when I started out with model railroading when I was a lot younger. I just ran the trains around on top of those. So I bought another one to expand to 6 feet. And now the trains have a lot more space to run around. Before, the 4 foot mark would be about here, so before I only had here on that way. And even at that point, I had about a third of the table covered with a tunnel, so I didn't have much, area. Basically, I just had a loop of track and an inner loop of track. Well, now I plan to have a yard, as you can see here, and I'm still going to keep that inner section on the old layout, but instead of an inner circle, I am turning it into a reversing loop. So there's a lot more room to run the trains now, and there's a lot more options for operations. I plan to get some operating accessories. I have more room for those as well. And I should also mention, you'll notice this is foam board from the dollar store. It looks kind of tacky, but that's because I filled the seams with some spackling paste. But that is my base on top of the folding tables, and it gives a little more sound dampening for running all the trains. Now, despite wiping the table clean, I am still going to pretty much have everything that I had on the first version scenery wise. As you can see here, I kept the park. That is the only thing that I really didn't rip up. I moved this lamppost, and that's about it. It used to come out a little more further back though, so it shrunk some. Then I have my Marx Girard whistling train station, which is also the lighted version, with my little homemade platform here. And I have my signal, my crossings. The cornfield will go over there. Man, I had to take up all those corn stalks that I just planted. That was rough. And I also have my Mark's water tower, but that won't be next to the station anymore. There's just no room. I think that's gonna go somewhere over here around the yard. And on the old layout, the inner circle was a section of street running tracks, and I'm keeping that too. I just like the look of street running trains a lot, so I like having the street running scene. Although as I mentioned before, it'll now be a reversing loop, so that'll be a lot of fun. I should also mention that regarding the track, you might notice that it's 027 track, the shorter profile tubular track. However, my 4 corner curves are not 027 radius. These are actually Mark's wide radius curves. These are actually 034 radius. So just a little bit bigger than the O gauge 031 curves. So they're basically, the 031 equivalent for the 027 profile track, if you know what I mean. However, the turnouts and all of the curves that aren't on the main line, the street running part, and eventually the yard, that is all still 027 radius curves. So that means that the 027 compatible stuff can run anywhere on the layout, but things such as my Trainmaster right here are limited to the outer circle. Now, it didn't move itself there, I placed it there because, fun fact, if you didn't know, Trainmasters and 027 turnouts will not mix. So yeah, he's limited to the outside circle, but this Trainmaster is really the sole reason that I got these curves, so that I can run it, because I really wanted a Trainmaster, but I already had invested in 027 track. So I was happy to discover these Mark's 034 curves. Last thing to show you is my control panel down here. At least what I have so far. I gotta get some turnout switches and some other stuff. But my main transformer is a Lionel LW, and you'll also notice I have this one right here. I'm not sure of the model number. I think it's on the bottom. But I have a smaller starter set transformer right here. And the reason I have 2 transformers are not for accessories. I'm running that with the LW. This will be for an upper section, a raised section of track on some elevated track pieces. So I'm gonna have an upper level around this general area. I'll probably have a tunnel in the corner and it'll come off of that. So another big change and enhancement over the old layout, which I already did have a tunnel with a flat plane over it, and I was gonna have something up there anyway, but it's a lot more wide open space to work that out. Anyways, other than that, I just have some sound activation buttons for newer locomotives with a bell, and I just have a second one for a whistle, even though there's a whistle button on there. But again, I started with this transformer, so I needed both when I was running that one. Then I upgraded to the LW and packed that one away. And now it's back on here again because I'm gonna add that upper track. So that guy wasn't retired for too long. Anyways, that's my layout, at least what I have so far. I'm gonna close out by running my recently acquired 681 Pennsylvania turbine, or turbine, however you choose to pronounce it. So I'll run the turbine around the track for you, and I want to thank you for watching. If you want to see the build progress of this layout, I'll be doing some more updates as I go. I encourage you to subscribe and hit the bell and keep tabs and follow along and see how this little layout comes along. But until then, I want to thank you for watching and have a nice day. That hum of the transformer.